With a return to WWE seemingly on the horizon and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. During an interview with Chris Van Vliet, WWE ring announcer Samantha Irvin recalled LA Knight getting onto her over getting his hometown wrong prior to a match. That process of memorizing hometowns and weights of superstars is whack, but hey, I have a theater background, so memorization has always been my thing. It's a part of it, so memorizing has never been a hard thing with remembering lines for shows or auditions for jobs you never get. I've learned a lot of lines. I had little flashcards when I first started. I had the superstars on one side and then information I needed to know on the other. That's kind of how I did it. That's how I did it when I first started. Now, I'm saying these names every week, so I know everybody now, I know where they're from, and I know how much they weigh. LA Knight went off on me one time for getting his hometown wrong, but now we bill him as from Los Angeles, California. For a workout video, NXT star Julius Creed can be seen lifting Ivy Nile, who was balancing on a barbell. Here's the clip. Speaking about Matt Riddle's release from WWE, Rob Van Dam said on his One of a Kind podcast, "I met Matt Riddle at the Playboy Mansion at a party years ago after The Ultimate Fighter. This was a medical marijuana policy project fundraiser, which they used to have annually at the Playboy Mansion, and then eventually Hugh quit having parties at the mansion from outsiders, and then it just went all downhill after that. But that's where I had met him, so a lot of people think that's a pretty cool story, and he seems to not be able to stay out of trouble. He'll get another chance, I'm sure, but I feel like he got so many chances that they felt like they're not going to be taken seriously unless some consequences are shown. I think they'll be temporary, and that could be by the universe, not necessarily by the company, but he'll definitely go somewhere productive from here, and hopefully he'll quit sending dick pics or whatever it is that he's doing on his off time that gives him so much heat." In a video, world-renowned chef Gordon Ramsay can be seen taking a bump inside a professional wrestling ring.
Muy bien. That's good. It's fun, isn't it? Are you okay? It's fun, right?
Yeah, it's great fun.
With Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso teaming up to face the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Damian Priest at Fastlane, Cody's wife Brandi said this on X. "I think what I heard was, my husband and Jey Uso are about to become undisputed WWE Tag Team Champs, so I just wanted to go ahead and publicly invite Jey to Thanksgiving dinner if that's so. It's always a nice spread, but family only, except sometimes Ricky Starks." Last week, AEW star Malakai Black revealed that he has been recovering from a slight calf tear as well as a knee hyperextension. Seemingly training for an in-ring return to the company, Black can be seen wrestling his wife Zelina Vega, as she said on X that her time was coming. Taking to social media, the newest signing for WWE, Jade Cargill, wrote, "Just standing next to me is a blessing, so let me help you out, my first victim." So fans, who should be my first victim? Of course, it remains to be seen what brand Cargill will end up on in WWE. Recalling the issues between Goldberg and Chris Jericho in WCW, Eric Bischoff noted on his 83 Weeks podcast, Jericho doesn't take from anybody. He doesn't. I think at his core, I don't think Chris wants to fight anybody or is a fighter by choice, but that doesn't mean he's not good at it, and I think Bill disrespected Chris. Well, I know he did, and Chris wasn't going to tolerate that. I think the reason Bill disrespected Chris, and this is going to come out so wrong, it's going to come out right the way I mean it, but it will be heard differently by different people and probably certainly by Bill himself. Just add another guy to the list I used to work with that's pissed me off, but I got to call it like I feel it. I think Bill was intimidated by Chris. Not physically, not in a real fight necessarily, but I think Chris was so good and had so much depth, not only as a performer, but he could do technically in the ring. I mean, he was gifted at an early age, but I think Bill was intimidated by that, and Bill's way of dealing with being intimidated is to go into Bill Goldberg mode and shut it all down. That's what happened. It's just a lack of respect and insecurity on Bill's part. And I say insecurity, I mean as a performer, because let's face it, Bill was still really new at this point. It's not like Bill had been in the business for 5 or 6 or 8 years at this point like Chris had. Bill was still learning every single minute. From the minute he walked into the building to the minute he went home, he was in a learning mode, and he compensated for that because he was Bill and he was intimidating, and he could be. But at his core, I think he was insecure at this stage of his career. He was insecure with what? He was aware of what he didn't know and wasn't capable of, and didn't want to compromise that because it might expose him. I sound like a shrink, but that's my honest feeling. Chris was a great guy, is a great guy to this day, and so is Bill, but that doesn't mean there weren't insecurities at this point in Bill's career. And again, not because Bill had any doubt in his physical ability or his ability as a man, but because he knew he was limited in the ring and he wanted to get, and Chris wanted to have a match with him in a program, which would have required that Bill adapt his style and work differently to work with a guy like Chris and make it work and make it make sense. And I don't think Bill was ready for that consciously, or maybe it was subconsciously. That's what I think happened. Speaking of Chris Jericho, he said this regarding Adam Copeland arriving in AEW during the Wrestle Dream post-show media scrum. I've known Adam since 1995. He loves wrestling. Sometimes in other places, that love of wrestling kind of gets squashed and warped a bit. Maybe it's not like that in AEW. When some of the other guys came, like FTR and Adam Cole and those guys, they couldn't believe the difference in the vibe of what we have here. Talking with Adam and seeing him come out to the ring, he's super stoked and super excited and super motivated. When you're motivated, that's when great wrestlers become even better and more legendary. He's already a great wrestler. He's a first-round Hall of Famer. Now that he's motivated again, I think we're going to see some of the best work Adam Copeland has ever done now here in AEW. During Raw last night, fans in attendance used their cell phone lights to pay tribute to Bray Wyatt during the main event between Gunther and Ciampa. Staying on the topic of Monday Night Raw, Johnny Gargano made his return and reunited with his former DIY tag team partner Tomasso Ciampa. After the show went off the air, the two would share a moment in the ring. There have been rumors since CM Punk's AEW firing that he will return to WWE, specifically at Survivor Series in Chicago later this year. Now, fans are pointing out that WWE may have had a reference to the Second City Savior. During his time in Ring of Honor, CM Punk cut a promo where he said, "This is my stage, this is my theater, you are my puppets, and I pull those marionette strings and I use your emotions and I toy with them because honestly, I get off on it." Last night on Raw, Michael Cole was talking to World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins in the ring, where Cole called Rollins a manipulator and a puppeteer at times, before saying, "This time around, it seems like you're actually the puppet." While the similarities between these two promos are not too great, Ringside News said this about the situation, writing, "Ringside News was told by a tenured member of the creative team that Seth Rollins is one of many people here who don't like CM Punk. If he had an idea that was a reference, then he most likely got it approved by Triple H before the show and kept it out of the script. Keep in mind that if anyone anyone is going to remember CM Punk's ROH promos, it's Seth Rollins. The Visionary had a good run in Ring of Honor as Tyler Black prior to arriving in WWE. It might be worth noting that Seth Rollins also called himself the best in the world last week on Raw. That is CM Punk's famous nickname, and also a very bold statement to make. Shawn Michaels may have said during the NXT No Mercy media conference that CM Punk is welcome in NXT. That doesn't mean the rest of the company is ready to offer him a contract. HBK also admitted that statement may get him in trouble. As there were previously rumors of Kairi Sane making a return to WWE, BWE was asked this on X. Is Kairi really signing with the company, and timeline she about to show up in WWE? The WWE insider simply replied, showing up soon. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.